Welcome to On Main Street with Rick Amato. As you know, folks, we believe all politics is local, and we like to take time to highlight key local races and candidates across America. One such candidate, one such race jumps right out at me, and I want to introduce it to you, this audience. Chula Vista, California. It's a community just in San Diego County, south of the city of San Diego. And you will not believe some of the proposals that are on the ballot in that community, put on by current elected officials, nor will you believe the extremism of one of the candidates. Well, we're going to bring on someone who's fighting that extremism and trying to bring common sense. He's running for city council, District 1, Chula Vista, California. He's a CPA, a longtime resident, over 20 years in that community. Let's welcome Greg Martinez. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Rick. Thanks for having me on today.
Greg, you're welcome. I've had a chance to look at your campaign and see what's going on in Chula Vista. It's pretty remarkable, and you have an impressive message. You're trying to fight and bring common sense to what's going on down there. Why don't you tell us, though, in your words, why you are running uh, for city council in Chula Vista and what this race is all about in in terms of what you believe?
Okay, well, I am running for Chula Vista City Council because I am a 20-year resident of Chula Vista, District 1. And, we built our house here. I raised my family here. I built a business here where I employ people. And then when I look at what's going on in the city council, I don't really believe they respect our values or represent our values. In our particular district, um, the person who is the office holder is basically unknown. Now, hey, I know that most people are not really political and you may not always know who your city council member is,
Yeah.
but this is pretty extreme. This particular person we know was born and raised and went to school, went to college in Mexico and started her working career, or at least the pinnacle of her career that she likes to talk about is when she represented the mayors of Baja California cities at Sandag and other United States political groups. So the question is there a conflict of interest there? Because for one thing, we never hear from her in the district. And then when we see what her real background is, it makes you wonder. But there's no vagueness about me. I represent the people of Chula Vista. I'm not owned by any politicians or any major donors. I am funded by some self-funded and then by small donations. And I just want to bring back authenticity, transparency, and be visible, visibility, ATV. Those are like the three of my big personal features that I like to emphasize on my campaign.
Okay, thank you for that background. We're going to get to your opponent in a moment, but it's interesting how you say that she's really vague on who she is. I understand that there's a proposal by the city council to give themselves a significant pay increase, a 70% pay increase, to increase their term limits from 8 years to 12 years. Um, and this proposal is not separated and clearly defined for voters. It's bundled together with a whole list of other things and kind of gets lost in all that. Am I accurate on that?
You're exactly right. So it's like they think they're in Washington, D.C., and they're passing one of these, what they call omnibus bills, where it has everything under the kitchen sink, so many different things that are not related to each other. And they're trying to hurry it through. So that's a clear sign that there's something in there they don't want people to see. There was zero public comment, no public comment. Typically, a bill like this should have extensive public comment.
Yeah.
Um, but you're exactly right in your characterization.
Isn't it fascinating that this bill gives these city council members a 70% pay increase and extends their term limits. Gee, how ironic is that that those two are combined together? The pay increase would go from 65,000 a year to $110,000 a year. That's huge. And again, as I say, the term limits, they would be able to go from being having this from 8 years to 12 years. And people don't realize it because it's bundled together with other things. What are the key points that you see that you would like that are important to the people in Chula Vista that brings you to this candidacy?
Um, well, in terms of this particular bill, while we're still talking about it, one
Yeah,
thing I want to make clear
yeah.
is that not only do they get up to 12 years, but current city council members, the terms that they've already served don't count. So therefore, they
Oh
would
my
get up to
God. Oh my
16
God.
years. And I tell people, how old are you going to be in 16 years? That's a long time. That's almost what we call a generation. So, why? Why? Normally when people are grandfathered in, that means it's trying to offset some, um, they're going to suffer some harm, or it's trying to make them whole because the law is changing and, we don't want to hurt you. But in this case, it's just a freebie. So they get 4 years extra. The years that they already
Yeah.
served don't count. And why? Why is it there's something special about this particular set of city council people that we want to lock them in for up to 16 years? Because we know incumbents almost always get reelected.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you pointed that out, Greg, because that is alarming. And I think that's something all voters in Chula Vista should be aware of. Hey, I think it's something all voters across America should be aware of, just so they know what's happening. Because if it happens there, it can happen anywhere. Uh, your opponent, she's the incumbent. She describes herself as binational, as you said that. She grew up and was educated south of the border. Uh, I understand she got up and walked out of a memorial for murder victim Charlie Kirk.
That's right, Rick. And we had a hard time believing that, but we have it on film thanks to one of our local citizen journalists named Robert Johnson, otherwise known as Chula Vista Live Data. And you can see it. And I'm going to be posting that. I already have it on my website, but I'm going to try to feature it and walk through it a little bit with you. She's sitting right next to Michael Nzunza. And I swear, from the time the mayor says Charlie till he finishes saying Kirk, they got up and they walked out. And Zunza leaned over and he said something to her. And then they both got up like they were shot out of a cannon. And they were out of there so quick. And hey, I myself was not a huge fan of, Charlie Kirk. I like Charlie Kirk, but he didn't deserve to be murdered that way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So for 1 minute, you can't just sit there for 1 minute while they talk about this man and like, hey, is this really where we want to be as a country? I mean, if they wanted to talk about some of their people that might have, suffered, might have been killed, like some of those protesters, I would hear them out for a minute. Yeah, I mean, that's just unprofessional. See, so now they're saying they want to be a professional city council. How unprofessional is that when you get up and you walk out of an official meeting just for a 1 minute memorial to a guy who was killed?
uh,
Very unprofessional,
it-
inhuman, actually, inhuman.
yeah, yeah, inhuman and extreme. I knew Charlie Kirk. I did not agree with everything he said. On the other hand, that's no reason to get up and walk out of or applaud, as some people did applaud his murder, the murdering of him. Um, you say that your opponent has a conflict of interest in that she calls herself binational. Why is that a conflict of interest?
Well, it's not so much that she calls herself binational, but I think when I look at her background, there's really not a lot of information about her, but one of the few things that keeps coming up is that she kind of made her name representing the mayors of Baja California,
Ah,
to Standag and other, local groups. So, the question is, does she still have those connections? I would think she would. Why would you lose those connections? And isn't that a conflict of interest if you're representing a foreign government, if you're representing some, not just a foreign government? Yeah, it's a government. It's the mayors, the politicians. I love Mexico. I love the people of Mexico. The politicians, not so much. That's probably the last thing that you'd want
hmm.
to import from Mexico is their politicians and bring them over here because, as you know, Mexico has a very bad reputation as far as corruption goes.
Going by your last name, is your family originally from there? Or?
Well, I'm a second generation American. My parents were born here, and I was born here. So three of my four grandparents were born in Mexico,
Yeah,
and my wife's from Mexico. So I do have a strong affinity, to Mexican people. Like I said, not the government though, right? We don't need to bring their government over here. The way they treat their people, just with the Tijuana River, sewage. You
yeah.
might think it's kind of bad here, where it dumps, raw sewage into the ocean pretty far away from residents. But in Tijuana, it runs right through the neighborhoods. It runs right through. How can you treat your people that way?
How can you?
Mexico
I
City
hadn't
doesn't
thought
want
of
to
that.
govern. I
Yeah.
don't think they want to govern those people. Something has to be done. It's ridiculous. There's only two other places in the world like that, and they're both in India and Bangladesh and places like that. So we can do better.
And for our viewers across America, this interview is taking place in San Diego, and if you're not aware, folks, there's a the river here stinks like a sewage canal because of the water coming up from Tijuana. It's just not clean.
Yeah.
uh, what are the key points that you stand for in this race, Craig?
Well, I'm running on local issues.
Yeah.
So my issues are number one is public safety. You always have to, prioritize that in any city government. That's always one of the top things that the citizens strive for. I want to try to, I say, keep the politics out of the police department. My opponent was also sued by our police chief,
Oh,
and yeah, maybe it's kind of a he said, she said type thing. But honestly, I believe the police chief, who's been here 20 years as chief, and long before that, working her way up the ranks over these politicians, right? So keep politics out of the police department. The police do a great job, even with the drama going on. But build a police substation on the east side, address e-bike issues, local issues. I'm also looking to address the affordability issue by stopping new taxes, making it easier to build houses, easier to get a business license, working with our infrastructure, fixing the potholes, the roads, continuing to develop our bayfront. And there's also some projects going on the east side, and we need to do responsible long-term budgeting to build these large infrastructure public works project. And the fourth pillar of my campaign is homelessness, addressing the homelessness issue, which we're doing a great job. The mayor and the council and the staff, the police department doing a great job. Just continue that, continue enforcing the camping ban, and let's not become San Diego, the city of San Diego, where you have tent cities sprouting up all over the place.
that's right. For those of our viewers who may not be aware, as Greg Martinez has just pointed out, unfortunately, it's sad to see there are tent cities popping up all over San Diego as homeless or on the streets under those circumstances. Greg, is there a website there must be a website you have that our viewers can visit if they want to learn more about you.
Yes, Rick. My website is www.gregforchulavista.com. That's Greg, FOR, chulavista.com. And there you'll also find links to my Facebook and my X, Twitter account. And I do post pretty regularly on Facebook about, current issues that are evolving.
Excellent. All right, Greg, before we let you go, a couple key points here. As I stated at the outset, we like to bring attention to local elections across America because that's where the difference is made uh, and does not get a lot of exposure. I really loved your message from A to Z. I mean, everything you've said is pretty not only common sense, but it's beyond that. It's pretty remarkable. You're bringing up the proposal that City Council has listed and just explain it out so well. Number one, we want to bring you back in the future. Number two, if you want, it's up to you, but you don't have to publicize it. But let me just go on the air right now and say that I'm endorsing your campaign for City Council in Chula Vista, just as I endorsed Steve Hilton during his primary. I'm going to endorse your city council race. And we look forward to having you back and help you getting there to the finish line. Any final comments? You don't have to, but anything you'd like to finish up with?
Well, thanks so much for the kind words, Rick. You know, I am just running as a citizen politician. And, you know, what people want from their city council is for the person to be accessible, to listen to them. And the basic thing is that my opponent doesn't really do that. You know, she's probably got better things to do with her time. She ran for supervisor and came in the low single digits. So I'm honest, I'm authentic, I'm your neighbor. I know so many people. I go out into the neighborhoods canvassing, or we're working on some sort of a public issue. And I meet, you know, people that are known for 20 years. So I'm here, I'm visible, and I'm not owned by anybody. I'm only accountable to the voters. So please support me, and I will stand up fearlessly against any of the shenanigans that they're trying to pull on city council. And we kind of just scraped the surface. It's pretty interesting, some of the stuff that goes on there and continues to happen.
All right, folks. There's Greg Martinez running for city council in Chula Vista, California, which is south of San Diego, downtown, part of San Diego County. If you live in the area, vote for Greg Martinez. Check him out on his website. If you have friends or family in San Diego, uh, tell them to check out Greg Martinez. And specifically, of course, we're talking about Chula Vista. Back with more after this.